Wednesday, and welcome to Mansfield Today, when we look at our medical matters with Dr. Vicky Skitter. Now, let me explain to you a little bit about what happens behind the scenes here on Mansfield Today. We generally get together, and because we're not experts in any of these things that we present on the vodcasts on YouTube, we asked for input from each of the contributors who joins us. That's why we have regular contributors. Sam would send out an email to the presenters at the right time and say, what subjects do you want to cover, or what should we be covering? And then we get the research done and all the rest of it, so we can put the show together for a daily vodcast. And I knew this had to happen. When I was told that we needed to, as a family unit, confine ourselves because we had a case of COVID that we'd been in contact with, I just knew that Dr. Vicky Skitter would come back. And she had usually there's a whole list of things. And Chris Gibbons would say, I want to talk about these particular aspects of what's happening on the market. Lance Brogden would say, I want to have a look at what he did yesterday. He looked at directorships and those sort of things. Dr. Vicky, in her inimitable style, sent us one line: Idiot's Guide to Confinement. So that's what I'm working with today. Hello, Dr. Vicky.
Hello, Jeremy. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well, thank you. Despite the confinement, I'm still sane. Put it that way.
Okay, well, that's a good start.
Okay, now what is the idiot's guide here? What should people who have been told you need to go into confinement, what should they be doing?
Okay, so the first thing to remember is when you get told you need to go into confinement or isolate, it means you need to go in now, not tomorrow or in an hour's time or 2 hours' time. So you need to stay at home. You cannot go to the shop and prepare your week's meals and buy your medication that your doctor said you needed, or go and quickly visit your Oma for a cup of tea before you go into confinement. It means immediately.
No.
And it also means all of you. So if you have a person in the household that's positive, it means it's a high-risk contact for all of you. So all of you need to go into isolation for basically 10 days. There is there's some point, but no real point to rush off and test everyone in the house, except if they've got symptoms. So the important thing to remember is if you've now got a positive COVID patient in your household, that is probably the primary contact or the primary infected person, and that can take 5 to 8 days for you to test positive to catch it. So if you're not sick or showing any symptoms, the best thing to do is either just isolate for 10 days and hopefully you don't get sick, properly isolate, or you go for a test on day 6 or 7 or 8. That's the proper thing to do. But people need to bring your food, all your medication that you need. I mean, I had a patient the other day that I said to her, okay, you need vitamin D and whatever else. And she said, okay, I'm going to pop out to the pharmacy quickly and get the stuff. And I said, no, you can't. You must stay at home. So one has to, you get a bit of a shock when you're positive or you're in contact or someone is positive. You go, oh my gosh, let's quickly sort things out. But someone else has to do it for you. Otherwise,
and you know what? It's not that difficult, Dr. Vicky. With all of these delivery services, and now all the supermarkets are offering delivery services as well, and you can order food in if you need to. It's not a, it's not a, it's not actually a schlep to have to stay at home.
Yeah. It's just some people don't think properly. You have to just stay at home. How's it going for you? You know, the other thing that happens as well, if I can give you another scenario, which is interesting one, if you have a high risk contact at work, so say you, Jeremy, had a contact here in the studio, and now you go home. So you've had the high risk contact, but your household hasn't. So then you basically have to isolate. And your household, they don't have to isolate, but they must obviously sort of isolate with you at home while they're at home. You know what I'm saying? So you must hide in your room, and they must,
so you stay in your room, and they just slip pizzas under the door every now and again, just to keep you alive.
That's important. Yeah, don't go and sit and watch TV all together, because then they become positive, and then we start all over again. Then the whole cycle starts all over again. So,
from all that I've heard, and all that you're saying now as well, Dr. Vicky, is that what we really need to do from a family, a work, a country, and an international basis is we need to break the chain of this thing down. We need to. It needs. I'm struggling to find.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. And the only way we're going to do that is to actually do the isolation and all the other aspects of it, if there is a case in doing the rounds.
Yes, and it really happens so often where people just ignore it. They just say, well, I don't want to isolate. I don't need to. I don't have symptoms. Therefore, I'm just going to go on with life. So remember, if you have, like if you had a test on day one, and you still with a person that's COVID positive, it doesn't mean you can now go out because you're not positive. You can still get positive from day 5 on, or day 8 or day 10. So be very, very vigilant when it comes to isolation.
Should there be something that if you are showing no symptoms but are in isolation, what sort of backups should you be looking at from a medical point of view? What should you be taking to help boost your would it help to boost your immune system, for example?
Yes, definitely. What I mean? So there's like a home regime, and I think most of the families should probably be on it anyway. So it's your vitamin B1 and B3. So the easiest way to get that in is probably vitamin B complex. You can get that over the counter. Then vitamin C, and the dose is 500 milligrams 3 times a day. I'm sure the dose differs from doctor to doctor, but that's my thing. And then vitamin D should be 5,000 units a day. Zinc, 50 milligrams a day. And then if you're sick, we add colchicine, which is a acute gout treatment. It's a very good anti-inflammatory. And then, it's interesting because COVID's all about inflammation, a huge inflammatory response. So that's what happens. But if you are sick, then there's certain blood tests that we also do that then can point us in the direction of, say, cortisone or blood thinners. But that's when a patient is sicker, sick, home oxygen.
Just tell me the name of that gout medication again.
Colchicine. Does it sound familiar?
No.
Yeah, so if you have an acute gout attack, that's normally the anti-inflammatory we use. It's interesting. So you'll take that twice a day, but that's usually when you're sick and your GP prescribes it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Vicky, thank you very much. I shall continue being a mole
Yes, a good boy.
Yes. Thank you very much for coming into the studio, and thank you for imparting your knowledge with us once again this week.
It's a pleasure, Jeremy. Take it easy, eh?
Thank you. Dr. Vicky Skitter, our medical expert here on Mansfield Today. Hopefully that's helped you if you are in confinement or know people who are in confinement as well. We'll be back tomorrow with, the travel show. That's right. And we're going to be looking at specifically travel to London, because there is an airline, even though we are still on the red list for the UK, there is an airline that is opening up direct flights from Joburg to London very, very soon. And I want to delve a bit into that with our friends from Flight Centre. Until then, keep safe and mask up and have a good day.